I know I felt like driving a sports car gets you targeted, gets you pulled over. That's what I'm talking about, man. Every Corvette owner and really any car enthusiast has thought about it at least one time. Are sports cars really being targeted? Are the C8 Corvettes and other fast cars out here being targeted? Or they just catching attention because cool cars demand attention? That's the real question. I want to tell you about a time when I was pulled over and just kind of how it went down and just how the situation was. And it made me realize different things about the perception of sports cars and just overall having these cars. And, you know, is there jealousy? Is there a little bit of hate out there? And why are we being pulled over, sometimes unnecessarily? So I was just kind of going down the highway one time, man. Sun is out, top is down as usual, man. Got my music going, nothing crazy. You know, maybe just a 3 or 4 miles over the speed limit or something like that, right? Just in the flow of traffic, you know, just the normal flow of traffic. And next thing I know, boo, you know, woo, woo, woo. Yeah, the blue light special, man, is behind you, man. You know that feeling that comes over you. The first thing you say, well, why me? All these cars out here, they go a Camry, they go a Corolla right there, like right beside me going the exact same speed. You know, so, you know, you pull over calmly and, you know, you do the normal things that you do. You know, you put your hands on the steering wheel, or you have your paperwork, your license and stuff already ready, you know, and the top is down, so I'm not even tripping. They can see everything, right? So I feel pretty safe. So the officer comes over, I think it was a state trooper or whatever, and he asked me like, well, what year is this? You know, the comedian in me said like, you mean like the year or you mean the year of the car? I didn't do that. So I said, hey, it's a 2022 C8 Corvette. And, you know, so he was just kind of looking at the car, you know, so I'm just like, okay, just chilling, being myself. And he's like, well, you know, I clocked you doing 73 in a 65. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, you know, that's technically speeding, but it's inside that window, you know. Then he said something like, you know, these cars move pretty smooth, don't they? You probably can't even feel it, can you? So I don't know if I'm on Jeopardy or some, you know, quiz show, and I don't want to get the wrong answer. So, but he's right. I mean, you know, C8 dual clutch, you know, it's pretty smooth, man. It glides through. It's very aerodynamic, you know. So I was like, yeah. You know, you can't really tell how fast you're going sometimes, man. So I gave him my stuff, and you know, he went and ran everything. You know, got my veterans plates on the back and everything. He ran it and came back and was like, hey, you know, no ticket. You know, just slow down. You know, but literally, you know, that moment in time kind of stuck with me. You know, got me to thinking like, was I stopped because I was actually speeding, or because of the type of car that I was driving? You know, let's be real. You know, when you're behind the wheel of a C8 Corvette, and don't let it be red, or even a Z06. You know, you stand out. You know, like a flare at night, man. So you know, you stand out like a flare. You know, and some cars whisper. You know, but the Corvette shouts a little bit. So was that it? You know, so when troopers, you know, see that low stance, you know, that spaceship gliding through traffic, man, that engine roaring, you know what I'm saying? It says, look at me, right? It does, you know, and that attention can, you know, sometimes come with a cost, you know, ticket or whatever. Now, I have seen, you know, studies that have shown that high performance cars, you know, especially red, you know, yellow, and even some black sports cars allegedly get pulled over more often. You know, now my baby, you know, is white, so I guess I messed that whole little thing up. Maybe that's just what it is. Maybe it's a color thing. Maybe it's a psychology thing, you know. Police radars, you know, they often pick up cars that appear to be moving fast, even if they're not. You know, it's a perception thing, you know. And I know some of those guys, you know, try to clock you with their eyes and not even their radar, you know. And most sports cars, you know, accelerate, you know, a little more aggressively than your average Corolla, Camry, or even Mustang. But you know, I looked at some insurance data too, and some of the Corvettes and Mustangs, the Camaros, consistently, you know, are the most ticketed. Well, why is that? Why are those particular cars ticketed the most? It makes you wonder, right? You know, and for me, I always drive careful because I don't just recklessly speed. You know, I'm always driving careful, but I just try to dig a little deeper and like, well, why am I being pulled over? You know, is it how tall I am? You know, is it literally the trooper or the officer, you know, just having a quota, as people say, man. So that perfect storm could happen if there's really even a quota system, or if that guy or gal is like, I'm getting all sports cars today. But it makes me think, man, you know, admiration is cool, man, when people admire what you got going on, you know, but when admiration turns to suspicion, you know, it's just kind of weird, man. I guess you'll never really know why, you know, these sports cars get pulled over, you know. But you know, Corvette is not just any car, man. It's a statement piece, man. And sometimes that statement is a little misunderstood, especially in traffic when you're going in the flow of traffic, you know. I mean, now that I've met so many people locally, right? You know, I believe in networking and just organically networking. I've met our DA, I've met different law people involved with the law, and they're very professional. You know, the sheriff's office, sheriff's department, and different state troopers that I know, all very professional. And when you talk to them and have conversations with them, you know, a lot of times the outcome can be a little bit different. You know, so I would encourage you, you know, to take time to go to your local police station, meet some of your state troopers at different events or whatever, meet your district attorney, and just let them get to know who you are, the type of person that you are, because you may have a type of interaction like this, and those relationships sometimes can, you know, maybe give you a prayerful judgment possibly, or just let there be more understanding within the situation, you know. But I felt, you know, that tension where you can't tell if you're being respected or if you're being evaluated, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you checking me out, you know, or are you just admiring me, you know what I'm saying? Are you being malicious, or are you just really curious, you know? So sports car drivers, you know, are we targeted is really my thing, you know, and my take is really, I kind of noticed that there's a balance, but I do feel like that targeting does happen, and I'm not just gonna say it's just with the C8 Corvette, you know, but a C8 is like walking into a quiet room with a loud microphone, you know what I'm saying, making all kind of noise, you know, so you're gonna instantly be the loudest person in the room, and whether you like it or not, you're gonna get some attention that you probably don't like or don't want, you know. But here's what I've learned. I'll just say this, you know, the car doesn't define how others treat me. My composure does. I'm always gonna use emotional intelligence, and when that officer walked up, I was calm, polite, confident, and with a smile on my face, man. You know, and that energy literally matters, you know, what you're projecting. You can't control every encounter, but you can control your presence, being cool and calm under pressure. Like when I was in the military, you know, your training takes over. You know, you're not panicking in the moment. And, you know, I don't drive this car for any sort of, you know, validation, but I drive this car literally for therapy, for peace of mind. And as a veteran, it's way more than speed. It's like my safe space, my sanctuary, you know what I'm saying? Every downshift, every turn, you know, is another moment of freedom, you know, that I feel like I don't always have. And if it draws attention, then so be it, you know. I'll use it as a reminder that, you know, being out here, being visible, you know, is a privilege. And, you know, this visibility comes with responsibility. So I'm always gonna be a responsible driver. I'm not gonna be reckless in any way. So to every sports car owner out there, drive your car with joy, with enthusiasm. We are the ambassadors for passion. You know what I'm saying? Precision and power. You know, if you ever been pulled over in your sports car, drop your story in the comments, man. I want to hear what happened to you. Was it fair? Was it profiling of some sort, man? You know, or was it just part of the game, man? You chalk it up to the game. Let's talk about it, man. Why did you get pulled over? Keep it real, keep it 1,000 now. You know if you was wrong. It's all good, baby, especially in here, man, with the family. But hey, if you love cars, motivation, and real talk, you know, from a veteran perspective, sports car lover, man, I would love for you to, man, subscribe, man, and, you know, like this video, share it out with everybody that you know, man. But we are passionate here about cars, man, and we love the C8 Corvette platform in particular, but love whatever car you drive, man. That's the end of the video.